From this explanation about how the market is right now and where hackers were and what were today, let's have a look a little bit a more in-depth look about how they're actually performing these things. So the first thing I will actually mention is the hacking for power, which is actually connects back to the blackmailing option. We're looking at about hackers who perform denial of service, DOS, distributed denial of service, DDoS, and website defacement. Now, denial of service is a really basic, primitive way, but hackers are using it all the time, and even bigger and more famous hackers are also using it, like Anonymous, to actually make a stand. Now, in denial of service, it's a really basic principle of hackers trying to consume resource on the server side to avoid or to prevent from actual customers to reach them and use them. Basically, opening multiple HTTP connections, creating page floods, multiple GET floods. And as a result, the website is busy serving these hacker spots instead of serving the actual customers. The customers cannot get in, and all of the existing customers suffer latency and poor service. All in all, this is damaging the website reputation, damaging its ability to make sales, and of course, decreasing its revenue. Website defacement is pretty much, we'll explain a little bit later on, it's basically all the other techniques combined, but instead of trying to steal information, they're trying to deface it. The idea is that defacement can present damage to the brand, damage to the reputation, making customers say, okay, this website got hacked, I'm not going to use it again, I'm not going to give it any more information, and of course, this is damaging the business. So hackers figured out that this is a good way to make quick money, and usually they hack other computers and do other techniques to get this ammo, this botnet, that through it they can execute most of these attacks. And then they blackmailing website owners and companies to pay them or else suffer. Now, in the recent years, we've seen also the trend of activism, which is basically combining hacking techniques with either a social or political message. A very famous group is using these techniques with Anonymous, and we'll actually look into this case later. But we also see perhaps even companies are not aware of it. They are associated with different countries or different messages or different brands. And sometimes these social or political hackers are coming down and they're attacking them. The end result is the same. These companies suffer the same fate as if they were blackmailed, sometimes even worse because the hackers are not looking to get money. They're looking to try to damage their business per se. So let's have a look on a recent case. Basically, the LOIC, the Low Orbit Ion Cannon. This was a tool that Anonymous Group actually used. They haven't developed it. It's already existing in the market, but they have used it in a very successful way to cause damage to many websites who oppose to their social and political message. They use these tools to basically orchestrate distributed denial of service attacks on companies and service providers who were opposed to WikiLeaks at the time and were trying to damage WikiLeaks. The Low Orbit Ion Cannon was a very basic attack tool. It has two main options: either to create a layer 4 attack, which is open multiple TCP connection, or was it to open multiple HTTP layer 7 attacks, which was basically a page flood. Now, most of the layer 4 attacks were mitigated successfully by firewalls such as Checkpoint and Cisco, etc. But the layer 4-7 attacks were much more harder to detect, and to mitigate, and most websites, that was the point that they caved in to the hackers. What was amazing about this thing is that before Anonymous, these type of tools were usually not user-friendly, and they were very complicated, involving entering all sorts of parameters and digits. Basically, what they did, they developed a very nice UI, user interface on top of this tool, which basically made people very easy to operate it. And they convinced the people who supporting their goals to go ahead and install this software on their computers so that Anonymous can use their bandwidth and their computer to perform the attacks. And this is basically how their operation went through. Here we can see a partial list of website domains that have been actually a target of Anonymous, each for their own reasons. We can see companies such as Visa, PayPal, Amazon, EveryDNS, MasterCard. For instance, MasterCard website it was reporting to be down for 24 hours. It was 24 hours which customers cannot access MasterCard website. PayPal suffered a huge service interruption, and they also at some point caved in and stopped. They were charged with freezing WikiLeaks donation money, and at some point they said they will release the money as long as they will stop attacking them. Visa also suffered a similar fate, and all these other companies as well. What's interesting to learn about this case was that if all these big companies, and these are a mega big corporations in the States and outside of it, what will small business will say, what will small website owners will say, if company like Visa and PayPal say, okay, you can take the money, do whatever you want. How these small websites are going to protect themselves. And this is something that's brought up and began discussed very carefully about website owners and online businesses should be more prepared and should be more aware of threats that hackers can perform denial of service and take them out of business, or at least temporarily take them out of business after or before anyone else can help them. Moving on to a much more hackerful technological threat, hacking for identity theft. So the first thing will be hackers hack for power. They can use the power to blackmail the website owners and the businesses. The next step will be to hacking for what the businesses actually can contain in them, and that's information. Now, identity theft has been detailed as a very simple act of stealing one person's identity, usually to access research or obtain credit on their behalf. Now, of course, there's a little complication about what happens when the business is being accused, or what's the legal implication for a business which got breached and its customer information leaked. But it's also been a legal issue for the customers who become the victim, because these criminals will go ahead and try to do sometimes criminal actions using this person's identity, and he will end up in court or in legal situation where he will have to prove that he was not the one who's been threatened or did the action as described. Now, like I said before, these stolen identities can be sold and bought on the black market, so hackers indeed have this motivation to hacking websites and databases and online services which contain information, anything from names to birthday dates to social security numbers, anything like that they can compose together this identity, they will try to go after it. And of course, hackers can, in this situation, go to either both ways. They can either try to hack individual people like you and I, and then they will have to hack a mass of people to get to this degree of number of identities that they can sell and make a profit out of it, or they can go to the much easier situation, and that's actually hack servers which contain this information. So once again, you can see the threat, the customer, the victim will be the customer, but it will be by proxy through the online service or online store and business which it was stored at. A very famous incident regarding identity theft will be the Sony PSN incident. Here's the quote: says, Sony thinks an authorized person now has access to all PlayStation Network account information and passwords and may have obtained the credit card number of 70 million users. This still is a very big issue and one of the biggest breaches that has been yet been discovered. We're looking at 70 million users who had their anything goes from their names, birthday, physical, and email addresses stored in Sony databases. And of course, it's all been extracted by the hackers and sold, and now they're trying to track all these identities. They've asked their customers to change passwords if they use the same password on different websites, and etc. And it's just still going in debate to what will be the legal implication, how much Sony will have to pay the customers, and how much they're liable to lawsuits. But the important bottom line here was that in the end of the day, the breach, which is they have not been able to confirm it, or they don't have the interest to say it loud out, was caused by a single SQL injection. Now, I'm not saying the hackers did a hell of a job trying to identify the breach and to identify exactly what will be the field to attack and the scenario, but bottom line, in the end of the day, Sony just had a SQL injection in one of their systems, and as a result, they have lost 70 million customers and now they are in debate about how they're going to solve this.